I was smiling as I signed the divorce papers, but it was a real smile, the kind that made David, who would soon be my ex-husband, shift uncomfortably in his leather chair. He wanted to see me crying, begging, falling apart. Instead, I took the expensive pen his lawyer handed me and signed my name at the bottom of every page with calm, steady hands. Is that it? David's voice, the one thing I had hated throughout our 8-year marriage. No fighting at all? No arguments? I lifted my head and looked at him. The man I once valued now felt like an enemy to me. He sat across from me in his $3,000 suit, wearing that self-assured expression on his face. You told me I could take whatever I wanted in the agreement, David. Do you remember? He waved his hand carelessly. Yeah, take the Honda, take a few belongings too. We're moving to the coast with Amanda anyway. Amanda, his assistant of 8 years, now turned into his mistress. His lawyer, a sharply dressed man named Preston, slid another document across the mahogany table. Ms. Mitchell, this document finalizes the division of property. You receive the 2019 Honda Civic, the furniture in the guest room, and a one-time payment of $50,000. Mr. Mitchell retains the house, the coastal property, the business accounts, and all investment portfolios. I read every word. David, meanwhile, checked his Rolex twice and sighed impatiently. Can we speed this up? I have golf at 2. I'm just making sure I understand everything correctly, I said in a soft voice. The calm smile never left my face. I signed the document. There, that's all. David practically jumped up from his seat. Finally, Preston, file these today. I want this over with. He looked at me one last time, and that's when I saw it. A moment of relief mixed with contempt. You know, Sarah, you're taking this better than I expected. I thought you'd be more stubborn. You said I could take whatever I wanted, David. I'm just holding you to your word. He started laughing. Fine, enjoy the Honda. He walked out without looking back even once. He was already glued to his phone, probably calling Amanda. His lawyer Preston gave me a professional nod. I'll prepare the paperwork immediately. It will be delivered to you by the end of the day. I was smiling as I signed those documents, and the 3 hours between signing them and walking into that courtroom were the longest and most satisfying 3 hours of my life. I went home, or rather, I went to my sister Jennifer's house. She was pacing back and forth with worry. Is it over? Did you sign? I nodded and set my bag aside. Have you lost your mind? You're leaving all the assets to him. Yachts, cars, the business. His business, I repeated as I sat down on her couch. Jennifer, do you remember what I told you 6 months ago, when I first found out David was cheating on me? She frowned, thinking. You said you wouldn't react, that you'd act smart. Exactly, I said. I took out the information I had been gathering for a while. I've been working with Richard for 6 months. Richard? Your old friend Richard from law school? The corporate lawyer? Yes, I'm working with him. I took out my phone. David thinks he owns his business, Mitchell and Associates Marketing. According to the tax returns, it's worth about $8 million, a company he built from scratch. My sister's eyes widened as she tried to understand what I was doing. Look, 3 years ago when David wanted to grow the business, he needed capital, a lot of it. He was also deep in debt from gambling at the time. He hid it from everyone and told only me. He applied for a business loan and made me his guarantor. But I had to put up collateral, the money I had invested in stocks, even the deed to our grandmother's property in Vermont. I put everything I owned up as collateral so David could grow his business. You're crazy. I'm not done. Listen. David was so focused on getting that money that he signed the contract without reading it. In the document Richard and I prepared, if he ever divorced me, Not half of the company, but all of it would belong to me. Jennifer's mouth fell open. You're joking. It's not a joke. He signed without reading it. He was so excited about the $4 million loan that he didn't care. His lawyer actually brought up that clause, but David said, "My wife would never divorce me." And today, when David said in the agreement that I could take whatever I wanted, my plan became even more secure. I smiled. After all, I now had a company of my own. My sister started laughing too. I checked my watch. The hearing is in 2 hours. David will learn everything in the courtroom. He's going to lose his mind. He has a mistress named Amanda. He promised her he'd give her half the company once they got married. It was obvious that girl was only there for the money anyway. The hearing was approaching. I stood up. What are you going to wear? I opened the garment bag I had brought from the car. Inside was a stunning navy blue power suit, the kind corporate executives wear. It had cost $2,000, and it was worth every penny. I completed the look with red-soled heels and minimal jewelry. Professional, powerful, untouchable. My sister and I did my makeup together. Nothing over the top, just enough to show that I looked polished. You look like a CEO, my sister said. I'm about to be one. I checked my phone. Richard just texted. He's at the courthouse. David and Preston are already there. Looks like David brought Amanda too. He brought his mistress to the divorce hearing? Of course he did. He wants to rub it in my face. He wants me to see his younger, prettier replacement. I picked up my briefcase. Yes, I had bought a briefcase specifically for this moment. Let's not keep them waiting. As Jennifer drove the car, I checked the documents one last time. Everything was in order. We arrived 15 minutes early. Richard was waiting for us on the courthouse steps in his gray suit. He smiled when he saw me. Sarah, are you ready? I've been ready for 6 months. He handed me a file. The most recent financial valuation of Mitchell & Associates. As of this morning, the company is worth $8.3 million. You're about to become a very wealthy woman. I don't care about the money, Richard. I care about the look on David's face the moment he realizes what he's lost. You'll see it very soon. Richard gestured toward the entrance. They're inside. Courtroom 4. Judge Matthews is presiding. She doesn't beat around the bush and doesn't allow outbursts. This will be over quickly. We passed through security, the sound of our heels echoing. With that sound, I felt even stronger. We finally reached courtroom 4. Through the small window in the door, I could see David sitting at the defendant's table with Preston. And in the front row of the gallery sat Amanda, in a tight red dress that screamed, "Look at me." She was playing with her phone, looking bored. David was laughing at something, completely relaxed. He thought this divorce was the beginning of a new life. And in fact, it would be the beginning of a life of poverty. Richard opened the door. After you, Ms. Mitchell. I walked in with my head held high. Jennifer and Richard were on either side of me, like my bodyguards. David lifted his head and looked at me, felt the need to look at my outfit a second time, and then grinned. Wow, Sarah, aren't you a little overdressed for signing divorce papers? Where did you get the money to buy that suit? Oh, wait. From the $50,000 I gave you. He nudged Preston with his elbow, but Preston didn't laugh. On the contrary, Preston looked uncomfortable. He looked at Richard with a surprised expression, as if he were trying to remember something. I went to the plaintiff's table. Richard came as well and took the documents out of his briefcase. The bailiff entered and announced, "All rise for the Honorable Judge Matthews." We stood up. Judge Matthews, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and the impression of someone who had seen everything and was impressed by nothing, entered. She sat down. We sat down as well, and she immediately began reviewing the file. Mitchell versus Mitchell. Dissolution of marriage. It appears there is a mutually agreed upon settlement, she said, looking at both tables. Preston stood up. Yes, Your Honor. Both parties have signed the decision to divorce and the property settlement agreement. Everything is finalized. Ms. Mitchell, do you accept these terms? I slowly stood up. Yes, Your Honor. My husband said I could take whatever I wanted. I am simply abiding by this agreement. David began to snicker. He fell silent under the judge's gaze. She continued reading. Then she stopped. She frowned. She reread something. Her eyes widened slightly, very slightly, but I noticed. She turned to Preston. Counselor, are you aware of the collateral clause tied to Mitchell and Associates Marketing? Preston's face went completely white. Which clause, Your Honor? David leaned forward and whispered. Preston began flipping through the documents. Richard stood up calmly. Your Honor, if I may, I represent Ms. Mitchell in matters related to the business assets. 3 years ago, Ms. Mitchell provided the full collateral for the $4 million business loan taken to grow Mitchell and Associates. The agreement clearly states that in the event of a divorce, full ownership of the business is to be transferred to Ms. Mitchell, who assumed all financial risk. David's face shifted through colors. What? No, that can't be. Wait. Judge Matthews raised her hand, silencing David. Mr. Mitchell, you'll have a chance to speak. Please continue, Mr. Harrison. Richard produced the documents and handed them to the judge. This is the original loan agreement signed by both parties 3 years ago. Page 7, Section 12, subsection C clearly states the ownership transfer condition. Mr. Mitchell's signature is right here. He pointed to the page. Preston's hands were shaking as he read. His face turned from pale to ashen. Your Honor, I was not aware of this agreement. It was not listed in our asset inventory. Because your client never told you, Richard said calmly. And under the divorce agreement signed this morning, Mr. Mitchell agreed that Mrs. Mitchell could take whatever she wanted from the marital assets. This business was entirely secured by her collateral. Legally speaking, she has every right to take it. David jumped to his feet. This is ridiculous, he shouted. That's my company. I built it. With my money, I said quietly as I stood up. Everyone in the courtroom had started looking at me. With my inheritance, with my grandmother's property, with every single asset I owned, David. You couldn't have gotten that loan without me, remember? You begged me to help you. His face twisted with anger. You tricked me. You knew this would happen. I protected myself. There's a difference. My voice was calm, steady, strong. You signed that agreement of your own free will. Your lawyer at the time explained the clause to you, and you laughed and said, Sarah would never divorce me. She's too dependent. Do you remember saying that, David? Amanda jumped to her feet, confused. David, what's going on? Sit down, David hissed. Judge Matthews struck her gavel. Order. Everyone sit down immediately. She turned to Preston. Counselor, did your client sign the divorce agreement this morning and agree that Ms. Mitchell could take whatever she wanted? She asked. Preston did not look well. His face had gone pale. Yes, Your Honor, he did. And is this business loan matter real? It appears so, Your Honor. The signatures match. The notary seal is valid, and then the company belongs to Ms. Mitchell. Judge Matthews gave David a look that bordered on contempt. Mr. Mitchell, you made your bed. Now you will lie in it. David's voice sounded like it was shrinking inside him. You can't do this to me. That company is worth millions of dollars. No, I corrected him, my voice cutting through the panic like a knife. You were the one trying to take everything from me. You cheated on me, humiliated me. You tried to leave me with a second-hand car and a few scraps. I just wanted there to be a price for underestimating me. The courtroom fell into a deathly silence. Even the judge had frozen. Richard continued. Additionally, Your Honor, we have documentation that Mr. Mitchell has been planning to transfer the company to a third party. Specifically, he planned to transfer it to Amanda, who is currently present in this courtroom. Since Mr. Mitchell is no longer the owner of the company, this transfer is clearly invalid. Amanda gasped, trembling. All eyes turned to her, her face flushed, then turned white. David, you told me. You promised me that once we got married, half of the company would be mine. David was gesturing for her to be quiet. You said we would run it together. We were going to be partners. Her words were growing louder. I quit my job for you. I waited for you to divorce her so we could start our life together. The judge struck the gavel again for silence, but Amanda wouldn't stop. She was standing, her makeup running. For him, she had given up her job. For me, David had called me a boring housewife. In other words, Amanda had trusted David. And I did not allow myself to be the one burned in this story. You said you built the company all by yourself, she shouted. I built it all by myself, David shouted back. With my money, I repeated loudly. Turning to Amanda, I said, You thought he loved you? He used you too, just like he used me. But there's one difference between us. I was smart enough to protect myself. Amanda looked at me, her perfectly done makeup running. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the messages on David's phone. I remembered the photos they took together at my mother's funeral. Your Honor, Richard said, drawing everyone's attention back to the main issue, we respectfully request that the divorce settlement, as signed, be approved to include the immediate transfer of Mitchell and Associates Marketing to Ms. Sarah Mitchell. Preston tried one last time. Your Honor, I would like to request a continuance so we may conduct a review. Denied, the judge said. Mr. David, you signed a binding legal contract 3 years ago. This morning, you signed a second legal contract. Both are valid. Your company now belongs to your former spouse. The court approves the divorce settlement as presented. You are officially divorced. This case is closed. She struck the gavel decisively. David stood frozen in place as if he were having a seizure. His mouth opened and closed, but no meaningful words came out. It was as if he were partially paralyzed. I gathered the documents, carefully placed them into my briefcase, and stood up. My sister was laughing from the gallery. Amanda was sobbing uncontrollably. David looked drunk. As I was leaving the building, someone grabbed my arm. I don't know when David had come to his senses, but he had run after me. Sarah, wait. Please. We can fix this. We can make a deal. I'll give you money. I looked at his hand gripping my arm and said, Take your hand off me. Now. He pulled it back as if it had been burned. David, let me explain something to you, I said. My voice was low, but every word was clear. For 8 years, I supported you. When no bank would help you, I did. Despite your gambling addiction, despite you running the business into the ground, I stood by you. And what did you do? You cheated on me. You treated me like a fool. Sarah, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I was stupid. No, you were arrogant. You thought I would fall apart without you, but I only became stronger. You assumed I was weak. You told Amanda that I was a boring, broke housewife. You mocked me to your friends. You made me feel worthless. My voice didn't tremble at all. You know how you told me to take whatever I wanted and leave? I did exactly that. And now I'm leaving. His eyes actually filled with tears. That company is my life, he said. Do you understand now how I felt when you tried to take everything from me? Goodbye, David. Good luck explaining to everyone how you lost your $8 million company in a divorce because you were too arrogant to read what you signed. I left the building with my head held high. Behind me, I could hear Amanda shouting at David. Preston was trying to calm his clients down. Outside, the afternoon sun was shining. Jennifer hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. "Oh my God, Sarah. Oh my God. Did what just happened really happen?" Richard shook my hand. "Congratulations, Ms. Mitchell. You are now the sole owner of Mitchell and Associates Marketing. I'll complete all the transfer paperwork before the end of the day." "Thank you, Richard, for everything." I meant it sincerely. None of this would have been possible without his legal expertise. "What are you going to do with the company?" Jennifer asked. I thought for a moment. "First, I'm changing its name to Mitchell Enterprises. Then I'm cutting ties with everyone David hired who knew about the affair and didn't say a single word. And after that?" I smiled. "I'm going to run it better than David ever could." My phone vibrated. A message had come from an unknown number. "You bitch. You ruined my life. David." I blocked the number and put the phone in my pocket. A message came to my sister as well, from Amanda. "He told me you were nothing. He said he could never achieve anything without you. I'm sorry I couldn't see it before." I looked at the message, then typed this. "He's a liar who uses people. Get away before he hurts you too. Trust me." She replied immediately. "I already left. I called my ex, the man I truly loved. I'm done with David." Good for her, I thought. At least she was smart enough to get away. 3 months later, my company had grown by 20%. I had hired new people, new talent. I had won 3 major clients that David had been too lazy to pursue, and I had restructured the entire operation from the ground up. David, on the other hand, was working at a mid-level marketing firm, earning only a small fraction of what he used to make. Through mutual friends, I heard that he had tried to sue me, but his lawyer told him he had no chance. I also heard that he tried to start a rival company, but no one invested in him because he had neither the capital nor the reputation. I heard that Amanda married her ex and that they moved to California. And me? I bought a beautiful downtown loft with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I adopted a shelter dog named Justice. It suited him perfectly. And every morning when I wake up, I remember that moment in the courtroom when David's face turned completely white. People ask me if I feel guilty. I don't feel a shred of guilt. David had a choice. He could have been honest. He could have divorced me fairly. He could have divided the assets like a decent human being. Instead, he chose to humiliate me, betray me, and try to leave me penniless. I simply showed him that he should never have underestimated me. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. And honestly, watching him realize how he destroyed himself was worth more than all $8 million. Never underestimate a woman who has been underestimated her entire life. We are not victims, we are survivors. And when we finally stand up for ourselves, the whole world shifts. David learned that lesson the hard way, and I will never forget the look on his face. I didn't just leave him, I dismantled him piece by piece. Subscribe to watch pain turn into power, to see what a woman like this can do. Stay tuned for more.